Hey, you busy? Mm-mm. Okay, let me run something past you real quick. I have officially entered the season of my life where I can look at things that I once called bad, look at things that I once called an inconvenience, look at items or people or circumstances that was once considered a hardship. I can look at it now with my same eyes, with my same whatever, and see that it was actually a blessing. That it was actually good that I was afflicted. Hello, Paul. That I actually can look at, you know what? It didn't feel good in the moment. It did not look like it was going to turn for my good the way Romans 8:28 says. It didn't look like my prayers were getting answered. It didn't look like I was aligned and actually operating to a goal or aligning with God or doing anything. And I can look back at those situations and go, man, it really did work out. Man, it that really I wouldn't have preferred it. I didn't necessarily want it. But you know what? Now that I see the fruit that I gained from it, I needed that. Now that I see that that's the way that God chose to teach me in that moment, that's the way that God was trying to protect me in that circumstance, that was the way that God was trying to go ahead and show me that he was Lord over my life, that he was trying to show me that he was Alpha and Omega, that he was trying to show me that I was stuck in Egypt and that I needed freedom. I didn't just need a God, I needed to be free. I didn't just need a God, I needed to be to live the life that he wanted me to live. Like there's some things that God is trying to show you, but you only want to be comfortable in Egypt. And he's like, no, I want you to have an exodus. And so you start to look at the things that he's done and you're like, yo, if I knew how much you loved me, how great of a plan you have for me, if I really truly understood the Jeremiah 29:11 in that you have a plan for my life that calls for me to have hope for a future, and all these other things that I'm reading in the Bible that are your promises, and the fact that you are a man that you shall not lie, that you back up your word. If I really, really knew that earlier, man, if I would have known that in seasons of my life where I truly needed to know something different than what I was experiencing, where would I have been? And so I love the cultural saying, if you knew better, you do better. If you knew better, you appreciate more. If you knew better, you would operate differently. You would see things different. It would shift your perspective. You would walk through life different. You would walk through valleys different. Because yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff that comfort me. You will start looking at Goliath like, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? You will start looking at Sauls who say you can't do it and try to give you their particular armor at the end. And you would say, you know what? I'm cool. I can't go in these. I'm not used to it, but I can go ahead and pick up these 5 smooth stones and I can go ahead and kill any Goliath that comes against my God. Like, you don't understand. I know differently now. When I was a shepherd, I was protecting my sheep, and I know that as God's sheep, he will protect me because the Lord is my shepherd. Come here, Psalm 23. When you get an encounter, when you experience God's hand in a way that you start to look at life like, I get it now, Deacon Master P. I'm bout it. Like, I'm for real in these streets now, because I understand that I move with a God who leads, feeds, and covers, that I move with a God that his word would not come back void, that his promises are yes and amen, that he literally has a whole book full of what he can do, what he has done, and what he's doing. And I dare not walk in these simple shoes called my life and think that I'm not going to experience what my God promised. It is called a promise for a reason. And he don't break those. He don't break those. So now that I've walked into this awareness, now that I have this particular set of skills, now that I have this different perspective, when I read the word, I look at it like, are you kidding me? Because now I have a different eye. I used to read different stories and certain things in the Bible, and I could relate. I understood the Egyptian mindset of how scary it could have been to possibly go into a totally new promised land, a land you've never seen before, and you've been so used to, I'm talking about centuries on end, being in Egypt, having things given to you, not being treated the best, but you know what? Staying where you knew was less scarier than going where God was trying to go and show you what he wants you to be used to. I understood that in one season of my life. But then God did something extraordinary with my mindset, which then impacted and influenced my perspective, which then made me look at other things with his eye that I was like, oh no, that's not okay. And that's exactly what happened when I read Exodus 32. This thing literally had me test my deodorant in a way that I was like, whoo, my goodness. I read this chapter and I see different scenarios of, if you knew better, would you have operated in that way? If you knew better. And sometimes we believe that knowing better is like, oh, you were absent of information, so you couldn't have passed that particular test in your life, that particular circumstance in your life. And sometimes knowing better is not having pre-knowledge or having post-knowledge. Knowing better is, what have you been shown that you can stand on now? What have you been shown that you can stand on? Having an affirmation in your life that you can say, I may not know what's coming up. I may not know all the answers to the test in the future, but the information that I have, I can stand like this in this season. I can stand like this and have this posture with this circumstance. Sometimes it's not a matter of, oh, but you didn't know that he was going to turn out to be A, B, and C. Yeah, but how much of his character did you see prior to committing? Yeah, how much of the company did you really look through? Glassdoor, other employees, what the questions that were asked in the interview, their turnover rate, how much information did you have that could have allowed you to stand firm in this situation? No, you didn't know they was going to downsize in a couple of more years, but did you see how fast their overturn was? Did you see that higher leadership is not there? Do you see that the most seniority person there only been there 2-3 years? That should be some type of flag, and it should be red. Sometimes we try to go ahead and pity ourselves and say, oh, but we didn't know. But what did you know? We'll never get to that part. We'll never get to the part that, oh, okay, but you didn't know that situation or that relationship would have ended up like that. But look how they handled their prior relationships. Yeah, this may be week 1 or month 1 or year 1 with you, but let's look at the years that they gave somebody else. You don't see the pattern. You don't see that they keep creating kids and not taking care of them. You don't see that they keep committing to people but then stepping out. You don't see that they can't hold a steady job and they constantly looking around. You don't see the way they spend the money they have now, so you wondering, no, you don't need years in the future to figure out how it's going to pan out. Look at the years that have been spent to figure out where you're getting ready to put your time, your energy, your resources, and ultimately your life. Because when you don't align yourself with the information that you do have with a person or a situation, you ultimately, guess what? You swipe your card of life, and then you come up insufficient in the areas that God wanted you to be in. Because here you are swiping where you should not have, And now when it's time for you to swipe where God called you to, you insufficient. You didn't have that trust issue before you met Buddy. You didn't look at all women like that until you met all girl. You didn't have that chip on your shoulder with corporate until you had that one supervisor in the job you weren't supposed to take. There are some things that, man, had you held your card of life and not swipe when you just felt emotionally, tangibly, impulsively to do so, then maybe the areas God had you or is taking you, when you do swipe, you would have been full. It would have gone through. But now here you are asking God to transfer from your savings to your checkings, and because the way your soul is set up. Yeah, the way those wounds were set up. the way that those scars shifted your sight. Yeah, now you got to ask God to go ahead and transfer it, and can you borrow, and you loaning from, and you doing all these things in your soul, and it's just like, dang, if you knew better. Let's read Exodus 32, because I don't know if you can tell, but she on one today, and am unapologetically, okay? Exodus 32. Let's read about a couple of situations where people should have known better. Taking it from the top, I read from the NOT version. 1. Pause. I'm getting upset already, because you know how in the Bible it has like the little header, the subheadings. This one says the gold calf, and it makes me feel some kind of way. It evokes an emotion that is on the negative side of life, because I just finished reading all of Exodus. That's the walk that I'm currently in, and I literally have seen God's hand, what he's done up until this point, and I cannot fathom how someone could have conjured up the audacity to then do what's getting ready to be done. So excuse me for the being on one ism, but it's because how dare you? And I mean that with all caps. How dare you? I'm going to try to get through it. 1. When the people saw how long it was taking Moses to come back down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. Come on, they said. Make us some gods who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses who brought us here from the land of Egypt. Pause. So impatience breeds stupidity? Because it's one. I'm just, I only been a grandbaby for a couple of centuries, or not centuries, but a couple of decades, right? I would have thought that it would have sounded a lot like, hey, Aaron, can you get somebody to go check on Moses because it's been a minute? Like, y'all didn't even try to kind of like, go check on Moses, or maybe something, different. Why don't we go ahead and promote one of the elders to be our servant, or the person who's going to walk us through the next couple of stages in life, because we don't know what happened to Moses. The fact that y'all jumped so far outside of the line shows me that y'all weren't coloring correctly in the first place. But who am I? Just a regular grandbaby reading the Bible. But continue. Verse 2. So Aaron said, take the gold rings from the ears of your wives and sons and daughters and bring them to me. Pause. Bro, how you pull that out your back pocket so fast? It's almost like did you already have this in mind? Because if somebody would have approached me with information I wasn't even considering, I would have been like, whoa, what? Why do y'all feel that way? It would have been some dialogue. But right away, he was like, oh, okay, the gold rings, like, not you having a plan in the back pocket, sir. 3. All the people took the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. 4. Then Aaron took the gold, melted it down, and molded it into the shape of a calf. When the people saw it, they exclaimed, oh, Israel, these are the gods who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Pause. Sir, when did you become a welder? Welder for the darkness. Like, what I'm sorry, this is too bullet pointed for me. This is too strategic. This is too intentional for it to just be unexpected. I kind of feel some way about Aaron. I'm going to try to hold my peace and let that be between me and the Lord, but I feel some kind of way. Just know that, okay? Resume. 5. Aaron saw how excited the people were, so he built an altar in front of the calf. Then he announced, tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord. Pause. Bruh, I'm not feeling him. No, get off of me. I'm not feeling Aaron. No, get off of me. I'm not. You doing the absolute most. So impatience made the Israelites think of something stupid. You then go ahead and think of a plan with gold, and then their excitement made you take your sin to another level? What? You let somebody else get you to a situation where you now are so far out. It's like, I'm squinting my eyes and there's no sun. I don't understand. I can't. 6, the people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. After this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan revelry. 7, the Lord told Moses, quick, go down to the mountain. Your people whom you bought from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. 8, how quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted down gold and made a calf, and they have bowed down and sacrificed to it. They are saying, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. 9, then the Lord said, I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. 10, now leave me alone so my fierce anger can blaze against them and I will destroy them. Then I will make you, Moses, into a great nation. Pause. Yup, let's go. Clap off. Do what needs to be done, Lord. Because no. Because who they trying? Absolutely. Clap back. Everything back. Go ahead, Lord. Get your lick back. Because who? Not after you done split Red Seas and did plagues in Egypt and did all these different things and then got Pharaoh to be off of their back permanently. Not you doing all this and then you spend a couple of days with Moses, a couple of days, and they like, oh, they just so readily able and willing to go ahead and replace you with something you made. You made gold. How dare they? Like, are they serious? Yup, Moses, excuse him, Moses. Excuse him, because he got some wrath to give. He got some, whatever he want to do, fire from heaven, however he want to do it, let him do it. But then guess what? Moses didn't have any of the energy I'm giving, and I'm just not clear. Verse 11, but Moses tried to pacify the Lord his God. I'm going to continue. Oh Lord, he said, why are you so angry with your own people whom you have bought from the land of Egypt with such great power and such a strong hand? Pause. What you mean? What you mean? Like, that's what the sentence would have read with the quotation marks. If I was there, I would have been like, I'm sorry, Lord, excuse me for a minute. Moses, what are you talking about, bruh? No, they playing like over it. It's too much. We done seen them complain about manna. We done seen them complain about, oh, the water's too bitter to drink. Every time we look around, they find there's something else new to complain about. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. How you doing? I'm on God's side. Like, it's too much. Let him go ahead and do what needs to be done. Why are you trying to talk him out of it? We're done. We are done. He just said after he go ahead and put them in the garbage, he gonna make you a great nation. So why are we even trying to talk him out of it? Like, at this point, he getting ready to ease all of our burdens. Let him do it, sir. He didn't have any of that energy, and I don't understand what happened. 12. Why let the Egyptians say their God rescued them with the evil intention of slaughtering them in the mountains and wiping them from the face of the earth? Turn away from your fierce anger. Change your mind about this terrible disaster you have threatened against your people. 13. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? You bound yourself with an oath to them, saying, I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars of heaven, and I will give them all of this land that I have promised to your descendants, and they will possess it forever. 14. So the Lord changed his mind about the terrible disaster he had threatened to bring on his people. Pause. Sir, good, bad, and different, they was talking about God anyway. Why you advocating, defending, and plaintiff on the whole situation? Plaintiff, why would you want to back up people? God don't need his name backed up. He's been doing this for a very long time, way before you, sir. Where was that energy when he was talking to you on the side of the mountain and you were like, but who do I say sent me? Like, you've been so worried about what people will have to say. You've been so interested on what the whispers and what the gossip columns and blogs are saying. You so interested in what everybody else is doing, saying, or feeling that you can't see the betterment of what God was trying to save you from. Yeah, your ear stayed to the streets. God's ear stays connected to heart. And he already determined, I already see how stubborn and rebellious these people are. I already see that these are not the people that I called to go ahead and fulfill this promise. I already see how this is about to end up. But you so busy not seeing because you so busy keeping glued to what people are saying that you can't understand that what God is actually indicating or suggesting is the best idea. Yeah, when you get caught up on what the people, you already made a mistake. That was your issue on the side of the mountain, sir, while the burning bush was on fire, Moses, and this is your issue now. But now you so engulfed in it that you saying to God, what if the people say about you, sir, he made the people. What does it matter? They've been talking crazy for forever. It's not, their minds are never going to be changed. And God is already telling you, I examined the state of their heart and this is a wrap. And you like, no, but let's not, because the people. No, you stay in bondage and in prison to people and what they say. I want to free my people and bring them to the promised land. But oh, if Moses knew better. Oh, but if Moses knew better. So, okay. He changed his mind. Verse 15. Then Moses turned and went down the mountain. He held in his hands the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. 16. These tablets were God's work. The words on them were written by God himself. 17. When Joshua heard the boisterous noise of the people shouting below them, he exclaimed to Moses, it sounds like war in the camp. 18. But Moses replied, no, it's not a shout of victory, nor the wailing of defeat. I hear the sound of a celebration. 19. When they came near the camp, Moses saw the calf and the dancing, and he burned with anger. He threw the stone tablets to the ground, smashing them at the foot of the mountain. 20. He took the calf that he had made and burned it. Then he grounded it into powder, threw it into the water, and forced the people to drink it. Pause. Oh! What happened, Moe? What happened to... No, twinkle, twinkle, little Israelite. What happened to all that softness? What happened to that lullaby you were singing to God? What happened to all of that? They got you so upset that the tablets that God himself wrote, on both sides of the paper, on the tablets, you smashed them to smithereens. And you did all of that already knowing what you were going to be facing. Yeah, because God said to you, yo, in verse 7, quick, go down the mountain. Your people whom you have brought from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. 8, how quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted down gold and made a calf, and they have bowed down and sacrificed to it. They are saying, these are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. So he already had that conversation with you. Then he let it off, 9, saying, then the Lord said, I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Now let my fierce anger, and he was going ahead and tell you, I'm going to end them. I'm going to make you a great nation. It's going to be done. And then you gave him the lullaby. But guess what? Knowing that information, you walked into the situation as if you knew nothing. As if you knew nothing. You destroyed what God himself wrote. You destroyed what God himself inscribed. You destroyed what God himself put the covenant on to people that you already knew what they were doing. Sounds a little unstable to me, Moe. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah, because now you are late to the game. Your reaction should have been delayed. You should have been like, that's crazy. You know that God said he wanted to kill y'all, but I was on the mountain telling him like, nah, don't do that. This is crazy. What y'all doing is crazy. Oh, but just know he was finna kill y'all. But I said, nah, don't do it. Like, you should have came there with a cool, calm, collected situation. What is the point in God trusting you with foreknowledge if you're going to walk into it like you have no knowledge? That's why some people, when they praying like, God, can you show me my future husband? Can you show me where you want me to be? Can you show me your plan for my life? That's part of the reason why sometimes God don't trust certain people with foreknowledge, because you walk in there like you didn't have any at all. What's the point of giving you the play-by-play, the step-by-step, all the information if when you get there, your steps look like you break stone tablets? What you breaking something for, and you already knew that they were doing this? That's not weird to you, sir? But okay, let's keep reading, and let's not get emotional because we're good grandbabies, right? Okay, great. So let's go back to 19. When they came near the camp, Moses saw the calf and the dancing, and he burned with anger. He threw the stone tablets to the ground, smashing them at the foot of the mountain. 20. He took the calf they had made and burned it. Then he ground it into powder, threw it into the water, and forced the people to drink it. 21. Finally, he turned to Aaron and demanded, "What did these people do to you to make you bring such terrible sin upon them?" 22. Don't get so upset, my lord, Aaron replied. You yourself know how evil these people are. 23. They said to me, "Make us gods who will lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses who brought us here from the land of Egypt." 24. So I told them, "Whoever has jewelry, take it off." When they brought it to me, I simply threw it into the fire, and out came this calf. Pause. Oh, you the big time fibber. You be fibbing. We might as well rename you to the Fabron because Aaron, really? Is that what happened? Do we need to scroll all the way back up to see what happened? Sir, they came to you. That is true. But you had the whole plan in your back pocket. You were like, yo, take the earrings out of your wives, your daughters, your son's ears. Give it to me. He melted it down. He then shaped it to a calf. The Bible says. But here you are saying, I simply, and I quote, "When they brought it to me, I simply threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." 25. Moses saw that Aaron had let the people get completely out of control, much to the amusement of their enemies. Pause. But Moses, whose idea was it to bring Aaron anyway? Yeah, because when I read my Bible, I read where God was saying, Moses, take off your sandals, for this is holy ground, right? And then, hey, I have heard the prayer of my people Israel, and let them know that A, B, and C, and take your staff and do da-da-da. And God was having this amazing, just little Zoom call real quick situation to let you know, I need you to go down to Pharaoh, tell him to let my people go. And your big bright idea, because of your fear about what they would say, or they won't believe you, or the fact that you get tongue-tied and you can't speak straight and da-da-da, you ask God, choose somebody else. And up for suggestion was your brother Aaron. And as much as you wanted company and the comfort of someone else while God is calling you, you don't know how they're going to cost you. Because now here you are and Moses is angry about how Aaron let the people get completely out of control, but Aaron was not God's first choice. You wanted company that bad. You wanted to be married that bad. You wanted to be promoted that bad. You wanted the house and the tangible item that bad that you couldn't see past that the way that God wants to do it is going to alleviate a whole bunch of problems later. So now you mad. How you think God felt when he was trying to convince you, almost 2 chapters strong, to make you understand that he called you because you can do it? And now here you are several chapters later getting upset about what God already knew. Now you upset about what God already told you. And now here we are getting irritated reading about you. Thanks a lot. Okay. So now, 26. So he stood at the entrance to the camp and shouted, "All of you who are on the Lord's side, come here and join me." And all the Levites gathered around him. 27. Moses told them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each of you take your swords and go back and forth from one end of the camp to the other. Kill everyone, even your brothers, friends, and neighbors." 28. The Levites obeyed Moses' command, and about 3,000 people died that day. 29. Then Moses told the Levites, "Today you have ordained yourselves for the service of the Lord, for you obeyed him, even though it meant killing your own sons and brothers. Today you have earned a blessing." 30, because we're going to finish it out. The next day Moses said to the people, "You have committed a terrible sin, but I will go back up to the Lord on the mountain. Perhaps I will be able to obtain forgiveness for your sin." 31. So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Oh, what a terrible sin these people have committed. They have made gods of gold for themselves." 32. But now, if you will only forgive their sin, but if not, erase my name from the record you have written. 33. But the Lord replied to Moses, "No, I will erase the name of everyone who has sinned against me." 34. Now go, lead the people to the place I told you about. Look, my angel will lead the way before you. And when I come to call the people to account, I will certainly hold them responsible for their sins. 35. Then the Lord sent a great plague upon the people because they had worshipped the calf Aaron had made. If you only knew better. If the Israelites only knew how much God really loved them. And if they only understood that they didn't need any other gods, anything that they can shape, anything that they can mold, anything that they can recognize, because they had a God that literally wanted to reshape their lives, reshape them for generations to come, to literally lead them to a land of milk and honey, to do something for them that has never been done, because they were people who were set apart. If the Israelites only knew, if Aaron only had enough, whatever it is, to stand up against people who didn't know no better. Now you got to forever be in the books as you are the one who crafted and was the mastermind behind the golden calf. Like, throw up, vomit. If Moses only knew that company and more people didn't mean more abundance, more anointing, more anything, but it actually equates to more problems. If Moses only truly understood that God was trying to save him, because what we know later that we don't read about or haven't read about just now is that the people put Moses in such a emotional negative state that they forfeit Moses getting to the promised land. Imagine being Moses in Exodus 32, who you are trying to beg God to save people that he already knew the state of their heart, not knowing that later on, the very thing you prayed about, the very thing you begged God to save is the very thing that's going to forfeit you from the promise. God told you to go ahead and speak to the rock, Moses, but you hit the rock because you were irritated with the people you had to lead. And God was trying to save you from that, but you were trying to save God from making that decision that will ultimately get you to his promise. You over here praying for this man that you know is not your husband, but you asking God to go ahead and fit this square into this round hole. You literally are trying to save the career that you chose years ago, save the job that you are committed to, save the business, the family, the whatever. And you don't realize the very thing that you are asking God to save is the very thing that is ultimately going to destroy what God has for you. If you knew better, what is my challenge? Take the information that God has given you as a saving grace, opposed to trying to save something that is going to bring you disgrace later. It literally would have been Moses's greatest come up had he just let God go ahead and do what God said he was going to do, because he realized, I can't do nothing with these people. And if God couldn't change them, and if God saw that all he did wasn't going to adjust their hearts, and that their hearts were just as hardened as Pharaoh's, then what made Moses think, and I can continue to lead them with ease? If you knew better. There are certain things in your life right now that God is trying to get your attention to let go. That God is trying to go ahead and let you be okay with what he initially is like. Listen, I know you want to prefer it this way, but let me go ahead and just do this, because it may not feel good in a moment. It may not feel good for a couple of moments, but I guarantee you that it will be the monument turning point in your life for greater. Imagine that we can just read that Moses went into the promised land and all was well, and he became a great nation, like the way that God promised Abraham, and he also promised Moses. And imagine if we could have read more about how lucrative and how grateful and how all the things that Moses was while in the promised land, but we can't read that. You know why? Because God promised Moses that he would save what he ultimately knew would destroy Moses. Stop praying and begging God to save your destruction. Yeah, I know how you see it, but God sees it for what it truly is. Yeah, you can't outsave yourself. Yeah, I know you thought that was a bright idea. God, don't do it because people are going to know. Like, let people been talking for all of people eternity. Yeah, since people have been created, it is what it is. Move out the way and let God be God. You just be obedient. You understand? But all right, listen, I feel like you got what you needed. You know what these conversations are, though, right? Right. They are life-provoking conversations that not the average person is going to have with you, but who? Your favorite homegirl, of course. Listen, YouTube, you've been checking me out? Tell the truth, shame the devil. Created the number 2 multiply. That is the YouTube handle. And then created the number 2 multiply.com, where you can find all the things. You find the merch, you can find the e-course, specifically weight. Listen, if you have a hard time, or you know someone who's having a hard time with waiting, go ahead and get that e-course and just go thank the Lord in advance, and you're welcome in advance. But I'm going to go ahead and let me go, because you got YouTube and websites to look at. So we'll talk later. Okay. All right. Later.